When we get higher wisdom, when we get ancient wisdom, it actually has a frequency to it, just like our normal talking, but it is a higher frequency. So when you try to put that into a physical body on this level, it's like putting 10 volts in a 5-volt battery. It fries the physical body. So every time I would work with the book to try to publish it, to write it, I would get sick again. And I would continually fight this getting sick, trying to get the book finished. If I would try to rewrite the book, I would get sick. They didn't want a word changed. They didn't want anything interpreted. And it wasn't that they were so right. It's that they understood that when you put just the right words together, you elicit a response in the human body that allows them to think on a higher level. It's a very interesting concept. It's sort of like saying, look, you see the dog run. Okay, you think, all right, I see a dog running. But if you say, look, time is the only thing that's important, your brain goes, what do you mean the only thing that's important? And you start to think 50 different things. Well, is this time important? Do you mean a watch? Do you mean the future? Do you mean the past? So a combination of 5 simple words can elicit tremendous thought and tremendous understandings, where another 5 simple words put together doesn't do anything to you. So the book was written very simplistically, but it was put together in words such that every time that you read it, depending upon where you are, you'll actually get a different meaning from it. The 13 chapters, it is the path, karma, life force, coming earth changes, how to heal yourself, the physical body, the ethereal body. It was what they claimed it to be was a basic manual for how every person on earth used to understand what it was to be here. Sort of if you were an Atlantean, this is how you used to think. You used to realize, lived many times. You used to understand you are simply a ball of energy inside of a physical body in a temporary time. You used to understand that to heal someone, you actually had to change the frequency and the energy of them, not cut into them, not give them drugs, actually change their energetic makeup. So it was a basic manual that they say that man had forgotten over the last 5,000 years. A basic understanding that every human being that used to live on this planet carried around with them. Now, their further explanation of it was that it wasn't that we got stupid. It wasn't that we abandoned it out of ignorance. They explained that the universe is this enormous sort of shell. Almost look at it as like a tunnel, right? And we, because now there's 100,000 million other planets that we've decided, that we finally realized, and there's a million other galaxies that exist. We, along with everything else, work in a complete rotation around that universal tunnel. We go in a complete circle. As you're traveling around in this circle on the inside of the universe, you get closer to other planets, to other galaxies, to other energies. And those planetary influences actually affect our thinking. They actually raise our vibration or lower our vibration. And so they explained for the last 2,000 years, we were in a part of the galaxy that was hidden from most of the rest of the planets in the universe. And because of that, we were in the dark ages. We were not getting the energies, the higher energies that exist in the universe. So we were not thinking in a higher way. And the Mayans described at 2012, not the end of the world, but a reuniting of the energies that exist in the rest of the universe that would change the planet, change the way we think, and change the way we live. So we just basically came back into the right neighborhood to start thinking clearly again. And the book was supposed to be sort of the introduction to help us remember how we used to think and live and treat the planet and each other, really. And at the end of 13 days, he came to me and he said, that's it. He said, for me to have come down to this level and to have communicated with you is an extraordinary event, and I will never be able to do it again. You will never see me again, but you are now a part of the other, and they will help you, these other ancient spirits, for anything that you need going forward. Because in ancient tradition, only true healers first heal themselves. That's just what they believe. They believe that great healers first have dying experiences, heal themselves, so that then they can help others do the same. I had to start finding ways of making medicine. So I started having dreams of this plant cures this, and this plant cures this. And if you put these two plants together, it will cure that. And I started to make medicine that started to cure myself. But it took me over a year to get functional again. I have to save grace for my family to put up with this. I mean, they never expected, I was this healthy, very successful human being that suddenly was crippled, couldn't do anything. And I went divergent too, as opposed to being so successful to suddenly all I care about is helping the planet. And it was confusing for everyone. But I had agreed, and I knew that they had said, look, you are only able to go forward and continue living if you agree to this new mission. What I will say was the most impactful to me, and I don't want to jump too far ahead, is that as I've started to understand even the book itself that I wrote, because I read it and go, I don't know where that came from. As I read it and start to learn myself, and I started to change the way that I lived, I can certainly understand and see how important it is. But how it connects to us is that every time that you have an illness, its purpose is to bring you back onto your path. The purpose of an illness is to make you change. And that is what's lost in our present understanding. Everyone thinks it's an inconvenience. Everyone thinks it's something that's bad that's happened to them. So what we find in our healing now that we try to teach people is that understand when the illness started. What were you doing? The parents were in the middle of a divorce. You were losing your job. There is 99.9% of the time a traumatic event happening in that person's life when that illness started. And that's what's connected to the illness. So until you address that issue, you will not be shown what is the physical remedy that will actually cure you. So it's not that physical remedies don't work. It's that they have to have a soul component to them for you to be able to actually have true healing. The ancients came to me last year and said, look, let's just take a normal person that's incarnate on Earth right now. They typically have had 40 to 50 lifetimes on planet Earth that's here today because they've been around a long time. They said what they do as a spiritual entity that's lived 50 times is they take 4 or 5 of their lifetimes and they put them together into a new mini me. And they incarnate with the memory of those 5 lifetimes. And the purpose is to finish any of the lessons of those 5 lifetimes so that they evolve as a whole soul. So they lived as a carpenter, as a farmer, as a doctor. They now incarnate with those 3 lifetimes memories, and they have those skills, but they have those lessons that weren't finished. And their whole purpose for living this new life is to finish the last lifetime's lessons. So if they were a farmer in the 13th century and a doctor in the 15th century, their diet was very restricted. They maybe ate a little bit of poultry, but mostly greens and vegetables and rice. So when they come into a modern world, their body, their soul doesn't accept the modern food, constantly rejects it. But the minute they get foods that are in conjunction and connected to their past lives, they're immediately satiated. And the way that they taught me, to me, was crazy. We were up north. Native American came to me, spirit, put his arm around me, and he flashed his hands up in the sky, and all the stars erased, like he had erased a blackboard. And then he threw up into the sky this diagram. And it was a big balloon with 50 small balloons inside of it, each of them a lifetime. And he said, look, and he just took 5 of the balloons and pulled it out of the 50. He said, this is a new incarnation. This is what comes into a physical body and tries to refine those previous lifetimes in a combined effort and in a complete purposeful effort. So I'm sure you've had people that had near-death experiences that said that they choose the family that they came into. Right? Well, because you actually stand on the precipice of the worlds, and when you agree to incarnate, you'll get a choice. They'll go, look, you can choose this family, this family, this family, and this family, because these five different family experiences relate to the lessons that you want to learn. This family will teach humility that you want to learn. This family will teach you poverty that will teach you this other lesson from this other lifetime. You can see how coordinated it really is. There's no randomness to our life at all.